Hi y'all, I'm Amber, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be sharing with you what I've read in the past few weeks. In these past few weeks, I read 3 books, and none of them were very satisfactory. As a reminder, links to the Goodreads pages for these books will be down in the description box, so you can go and check what they're all about. I do not feel like trying to summarize them because I just don't do a good job at all. But let's just get going with the first book, which was the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. I was really enjoying this at first until I got to the halfway point. What I really liked was that each perspective was unique. They all felt three-dimensional. Their voices were unique to each one, and I appreciated that. Although I did feel like the accent, especially with the oldest, was overdone. I just didn't really know if that would have been an accurate accent all that much, but that is probably just me. And if you're from the South, you would definitely know more than I would on that point. But it kind of wore me down having to listen to her voice in my head as I was reading because it just grated on my nerves. The story itself, although it was handled well, I think, it felt like a story that I read before or heard of plenty of times. These stories about families going to a different country, or like the British, the English going to here and then trying to change the religions of the people that live there. It's so overdone, especially in their perspective. I don't want that perspective. I want the perspective of the people who is dealing with their religions being called demon worshipping and uncouth and like it's wrong, and I want their perspective. And in this book you don't get their perspectives at all, and that was one of the most frustrating points of this book for me because I wanted their perspective. I wanted to learn more about their culture and their worldview, and we don't get that. And like I said, the story is a story that I've heard plenty of times before, so it just felt redundant for me, and it dragged the story down. It felt very boring and slow, especially since basically for the first half of the book, barely anything happens. And when that first half is done and you do start seeing things happening, it's all in the background, and in the end, the story is very predictable. You can see where it was going to go from the very beginning, especially at the halfway point. I just didn't really care for that. It was just frustrating how predictable it was, especially because I was, in a way, enjoying it. I was learning a lot about the Congo that I hadn't heard of before. So maybe if she had written a book where she wrote in the perspective of the Congolese, or if she had just written a non-fiction book, I would have appreciated that, because it feels like she had a lot to say about it, but I think that she hindered herself by the fact that she put in the perspective of these white people coming into the Congo, and it was just something that I felt definitely hindered her. In the end, I gave this book 3 stars, but it's more like 2 to 2.5 stars. It just wasn't all as good, and this is a book I've been wanting to read for years. It's one of those books that I've heard a lot of good things about, but I definitely didn't feel like it lived up to that hype. Then I picked up The Renda by Joseph Biden. With this one, you have 3 perspectives, and you don't really know who is who until you've read all 3 of the perspectives. It was quite easy to figure it out, but if you put the book down and you leave it for a couple of days and then try to pick it up again, you're going to have to try to remember it all over again. And that was what happened to me, and I think that made it harder for me. I put it down because I lost complete interest in it because I had to try to remember everything again. And the fact that he didn't make it really clear of who was who, I felt made it harder for me to connect with the characters because I was trying to always make sure that I knew who was who. It was just a frustrating thing. I didn't care for that aspect. I really don't know how to describe what I felt was missing with the story itself, although I really enjoyed it. It had a feel of Dances with Wolves, and surprisingly enough for me, it had the feel of Game of Thrones. But other than the fact that there felt like that crossover, and I really enjoyed the story itself, I felt like there was something missing with his writing, which each chapter is pretty short, and I just wanted him to just go a whole lot more, just a whole lot more deeper. And I think if I had read the whole book, I probably would have felt that he had gone all the way with it, but I just didn't truly care for the fact that it wasn't clear who was who. I will be picking this up again in the future because I feel like it was my own fault for how everything kind of fell apart, because I was enjoying it when I first picked it up. For now, I did give The Renda 2.5 stars. The last book that I read is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I really thought her writing was good, but she needs to kind of pull back the reins on how far she goes with her metaphors, because it was like every other sentence was a metaphor and she just piles it on. So I didn't really care for that. It kind of gave me a headache. In the end, with a story that deals with a couple of heavy and serious subject matters, it did not feel like a serious book. I don't feel like she went far enough nor deep enough with the story, especially with Noah's perspective. I thought that his perspective should have gone and reached to the present day, but you don't even get his perspective in the present day, and that was one of my most frustrating points with this, because I felt that something lacked because of that. I also did not care for the fact that although this was supposed to be about Jude and Noah's relationship as siblings, it did not go deep enough with their relationship. I actually didn't feel like it went anywhere with their relationship. It got stuck with Jude and her romance with Oscar, which was the most unnecessary romance I've ever seen, I think. I just felt like it hindered the story and didn't add anything. So it was one of those really frustrating books because it had potential, it had a really great premise, but she didn't do anything with it. In the end, this book is very skimmable. You could skim the whole book and not miss anything. It was very cheesy. It didn't have any meat to it, so I gave it 1 star. As you can see, this was one of my most frustrating and disappointing few weeks of reading, so I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that the next month will be much better. Tell me down below what you all have been reading. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.